Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel. Thanks for tuning in for another episode. I am sitting here itching to get out and make a few casts because I've got the new Berkley triple minnow rig. I've heard about this coming through the pipeline for a while. It showed up at my doorstep the other day and I'm excited to give it a try. I haven't rigged one up, don't know really how to go about and use it even, but the cool thing is when you get these, it comes almost like a book. You can open it up and it comes as a kit. And in the kit, you get a bunch of different jig heads, various sizes. You get a bunch of drip minnows, and then you get the instructions that show you how to rig it. But it's a cool little contraption. At least that's what it looks like. It's kind of a cross between like a double fluke rig or an umbrella rig. So if you're using it in tournaments, you might want to make sure that it is legal. And if you're using it in certain states, I think this would be legal in pretty much all states because you've only got one hook. But having said that, just make sure you check with your local regulations as well. So let's go ahead and rig it up. This is the 4-inch model. They've also got a bigger 5-inch minnow, drip minnow that comes with it. And they also come out with a little 3-inch size. So this is just the standard drip minnow that you can buy separately, but the kit and the rigging contraption all comes based on the size that you want. So with the 3-inch minnow, you get 2 of the Fusion 19 hybrid jig heads, and the 3/8 and the 1/4 ounce 2/0 size. It's basically the right size minnow or right size jig head for the drip minnow. But let me rig this up. I'm going to show you how to go ahead and do it. I'm going to do it for my first time as well. We'll see how difficult or how easy it is, and then we'll take a look and see what it looks like in the water. All right, so we are choosing to use the 4-inch drip minnow, this guy right here that comes with it. Now there's only a handful of pieces to use. Now the first piece, and following the instructions, it says to set up the rig, first thread the body cap onto the tubing roughly 1 inch down. So in this case, we've got our 3 different pieces to the contraption. So we're gonna take, this is the tubing that the main line's gonna go through. And the first thing I'm gonna do is take the little cap and slide that onto the tubing. And that's going to act as a lock where it's going to hold the whole rig into place. So it says have it so it's roughly 1 inch down. So I've slid that into place. Then this is going to be the other part of the harness that takes 2 baits. Now I want you to recognize that the contraption has a wide end and a flat and a smaller end. And your cap is going to go into the wide end and squeeze down and lock into place. So I'm just going to take my tubing and slide it down, but I'm not going to lock it into place yet. I'm just going to slide it down like that. Once you've got your arms on to the main tubing, you're going to want to take your line. In this case, I'm just using 15-pound Berkley 100% fluorocarbon. So we're going to feed our fluorocarbon or whatever line it is that you're using all the way through the tube, just like that. Now, once you've got that, you can go ahead and it says slide the full apparatus down until the tubing is near or touching the jig head. So at this point, we're going to go ahead and tie on our hybrid jig head onto our line. Cut my tag end off. All right, so you've got a jig head and we've got our apparatus or our harness, whatever it is that you want to call it. Now, it says slide the full apparatus down until the tubing is near or touching the jig head. So I'd say that's basically near or touching the jig head. And then firmly press down the cap into the body to secure the position on the line. So this is the cap, and we're going to push that into the harness portion, and that's going to lock it into place. And it is pushed down, and now you can see that's not free swinging at all. It's like locked onto my line. It pinches down and holds onto your line. And at that point, now we can just go ahead and thread on our 3 drip minnows into place. So on each of these arms with the hitchhiker, I'm just gonna push the minnow into place, just twist it in. And I'm gonna do that for this one as well as the other hitchhiker, and then I'm just gonna thread one onto the jig head. Get him positioned properly, just like that. So there is our triple minnow rig. Now let's take it out, see what it looks like in the water. So the box says to take it, throw it out, and keep your rod tip up and just twitch it, which is not what I would have thought. I would have thought to fish it like a fluke, but I'm gonna say right off the bat that this is gonna catch fish. You throw it out there and the weighted body pulls the rig into position, and then when you twitch it, I mean, it just looks beautiful. It looks like a school of minnows. This, it looks a lot better than I actually was expecting, and I don't mean that in a negative way. I just didn't really know what to expect, but I love how the harness keeps the bait in the perfect position. And when you twitch it, it just looks like the baits just look like they're flowing like a school of minnows floating by. This is gonna catch fish. I have zero doubts about that. One thing that I know right off the bat that a lot of people are gonna want to do with this, because I've already, just right off the bat, I've looked at it and been like, is there a way to take it from being a single hook to putting hooks on the two end ones? I do not know offhand how solid those hitchhikers are in place. They really feel like they're in well, to the point you might be able to put a bait in with a hook. I'm not going to sit here and say that the contraption was meant for that, because on the box they say just to put one hook in there, but that will be something that I try just to see if I can fish it with 3 hooks. I'll also see if there's potentially a way to, if that doesn't hold up, if there's a way to make that work. And I guarantee you there's going to be a lot of anglers that see this and they're like, oh my gosh, how can I make 3 hooks on this? How can I put 17? Like, can I take multiple of these contraptions? Can I put another one up here? I don't see why you couldn't. You could have a school of 5 minnows or 15 minnows. It just, again, you want to make sure that you're within state regulations, but I don't see any reason why you couldn't make a giant ball of bait with this. Oh, there he is. Crappie, look at that crappie. It did not take long. And that's not what I was expecting, but it's actually not surprising. Wow, that's a nice crappie. That's the thing, anytime you start to mimic a like a bait fish bait presentation, you really can catch almost anything. I mean, you start thinking about the possibilities for this, you know, that smaller 3-inch drip minnow for crappie or white bass. I mean, I feel like my wheels are just turning as to different ways that you'd be able to fish this thing, and different techniques and presentations. Can you apply the harness to other style of baits? Like, man, I just don't know offhand, because I've only thrown it for about 5 minutes right now, but it's just a really cool little thing. And I feel like this is going to be one of those harnesses or baits that you hear people like, there's one, I bet you it's another crappie. Nope, little bass. And that's funny, both bites now have been on the bottom bait, which is what you would expect. Not that this guy is all that big, but the reality is everything's held up just fine. One of my concerns with it was, you know, is are the fish going to grab the non-hooked baits? And the funny thing with that is you always kind of feel that way with like Alabama rigs when you're running teasers, and man, you know, generally it's that bottom bait that the fish come up and eat, or the center bait, which in this case with this harness, the bottom bait is the center bait as well. It's just fun. It's a fun, neat contraption to use. Right now, today, you know, we're fishing. This is a fall day. It's actually, was today October 1st, I think. But water is super warm here. You know, the leaves actually just started changing in the last couple of days. But the water's still 70 degrees. It's going to be 80 here almost the rest of the week. So we still got 71-degree water temp. Fish are still very much in a summer phase, but some of them are starting to get up on some of these flats. I think they're starting to feed up for the winter as they would in a normal fall, but it's just still really warm. But this is kind of a perfect presentation right now for this. I'm fishing, this flat's 4 to 6 foot of water. There's little scattered rock piles, little scattered little weed clumps, and ooh, there's a little weed right there. But they get up on this stuff and start feeding. You know, as daylight gets shorter, I feel like the fish just really like to get up and start feeding on this type of stuff. But you know, the reality is you can fish, you know, if you've got that 3/8 ounce head, or you want to go with a heavier head, you can fish this thing down super deep, and it does a really nice job of just suspending in the water column. You know, when you get that much plastic and resistance from some of the contraption itself, it does not sink fast. Now, I know if you went with a much heavier weight, it would sink a lot faster and you could keep it down deeper. But surprisingly, with a 1/4 ounce head, it's watch how slow it falls. It's just not it's not fast. It's a very slow fall. I mean, it's like, I feel like it's like 6 inches a second, which is ridiculous when you think about it. But that's just something that I think helps keep the bait higher up, not necessarily higher up, but suspended where the angler wants it. So if you want to put a 1 ounce weight on that bottom bait, there's no reason you couldn't do it. Oh, there's a whole school of bass. There are 15 bass right there. That was so cool. Let's see if we can get him in and get another one. That was awesome. That's a nice one. Let's see if we can get another one of those. I don't know where they went. I saw them swim off this way. There were a whole pile of them. Just like the box says, for schooling fish, but that was just so cool. So I've been playing around a little bit with the overall length, I guess, of that middle arm, and I definitely, the box says to have it about 1 inch, to have the stopper about the GoPro shut off because I said a word I shouldn't have said that gets it to shut off. Anyways, if you have it set where it's about 1 inch from the top like the box says, that middle arm's a little longer, and I feel like that definitely is advantageous. Like I shortened it up to see what it would look like, and it's like that middle arm is just too squeezed in there, and it doesn't roll the bait and get it centered the way it should be. So if you've got the longer arm, so what I'm saying is you want this, the middle section, I can't say that word, the plug, about 1 inch, which creates a longer arm. So in that when the bait goes in the water, it allows it to right itself, and it just seems to be really good. The other thing I've noticed that you don't want is you don't want this middle tube to be like squeezed right onto the knot. It'll just deaden that bait, the movement of the bait. So I've actually been having it where I've got the bait, I've got the tube about, you know, I don't know, 1/4 inch or so from the top, and it just allows there to be some free movement there, 1/8 of an inch. You just don't want the tube to be down on the knot. If it's down on the knot, at that point you really, I think you're deadening the movement to that middle bait. It's just something I've picked up on. I'll be curious to hear what all of you think as well. But just in terms of sliding it around, like I wanted to see why the box specifically states 1 inch, so I wanted to see exactly what that would do, and I agree, you want that to be a little bit longer. One of the things that I've really been surprised with fishing this is how well I can keep this bait up. I mean, I'm just playing around with it right now basically as a wake bait, and when I do that, it's like you've got 2 minnows that are V'ing, creating V wakes on the surface that are S swimming, you know, swimming beautifully, and then you've got your middle one with the weight that's just slightly under that. and I think I just had a follow. I'm not positive. But the, you know, that it just has my wheels turning like, man, in the spring when you're talking about like that wake bait bite being on, this could be just deadly from that standpoint. But the amazing part is just how well it stays up. Like I wasn't expecting the bait to be able to suspend as well as it does, like to be able to maintain the depth that you want to maintain. And in this case, I mean, it's 1/4 ounce weight, but because it's got bulk of the whole bait, it's like I'm able to keep it up right under the surface if I want to, and I'm not really burning it that fast to do it. You just keep the rod tip up, steady. Oh, did you guys see that? Oh, he took an arm. He took a bait off the arm. Let's see if 2 is enough to get him to come back. Now that's interesting to me because I was actually waking it on the surface, and in that case he came and grabbed, there he is, came back for it. That was awesome. I would have thought in that case he would have been absolutely on the bottom one, but he actually took the one off the surface. Now that's just a little, I don't know, maybe a 14-incher, but he came back for it. That's awesome. Let's get another bait on there. We might try a different color just to see what happens. Look at that, another big old crappie. Golly, that's a nice crappie. That is a nice crappie. I've never caught a crappie in this lake before, let alone 2 crappie. That's very interesting to me. Maybe I need to be fishing it for crappie. I mean, that I should put on that little 3-inch. The 3-inch version, probably go to town on those guys right now. There's another one. We got a whole school of crappie. Why go to the 3-inch when you can catch them on a 4-inch, I guess? I'm telling you, this contraption is going to be like a player for everything. I'm just throwing it right back to where I think that school was. I don't have any electronics on my boat, let alone forward-facing sonar, guys. So for all of you out there that think I'm scoping up some crappies right now, I'm not. I don't even know how deep it is right here. I just know we're in 4 to 6 foot from history. But I could see like white bass and walleye. Like honestly, one thing I've thought about doing is fishing really deep ledges too. You put like that 1/2 ounce size on and like just let it go to the bottom and just slow roll it along the bottom. Like to me that could be just dynamite for some of your ledge fish down on like TVA lakes, or your deep smallmouth on some deep humps. It's just a really natural presentation. And I don't know, you know, it's at this point, like in my career, it's not real often when I see something that just kind of really excites me. And this is something that is just different. And it's kind of one of those baits where you're just like, I'm surprised this wasn't done sooner. But it's, I mean, I've been using it for not long now, and I've caught a pile of fish on it. And I just, sometimes you pick up a bait and you're like, aha, I got it, I get it. That's exactly what this is right now for me. It's just, it's a neat contraption. I know everyone out there is going to be like, oh, Matt's sponsored by Berkley. Well, I am sponsored by Berkley, but when something cool comes out and it's fun to play around with and it catches fish, I think that's cool. Oh, that's a decent one. That was so cool. I'm just trying all these different, come on up here, all these different retrieves. That's a nice one. And yeah, I don't know that there's a right or a wrong way to use it. You know, one thing I've definitely noticed, that was the contraption slid up on that. I kind of like that. You know, the difference in retrieves is kind of, it really does vary. So I'm just trying all these different things. If you do the short twitches, like, you know, like it mentions to do, you get a really good S swim out of your drip minnow. So it's just a really nice, it looks like a snake. If you start doing bigger pops, what you do is you take that swimming motion out of your bait, but you create that erratic movement where the contraption collapses on itself and then opens up. So if you do just kind of like the bigger pops like that, you get much more of an erratic movement. If you go to your small swimming pops, you get that swimming motion. It's really cool to be able to change the action of my swim bait based on that. And I'm trying a bunch of different things. I'm trying like just to burn it and kill it, burn it and kill it. Like that's how that last one bit. I have not found any specific retrieve to be better than the other yet today, but I definitely think that there's probably a time and a place depending on, you know, where you're fishing, species you're fishing for, location, seasonality, all of that. You take that into account. But to me, to be able to mix it up and do a bunch of different things is really very, very critical in being able to open this technique up to so many different types of fishing and species. And it's just really cool to be able to do that. Not a giant, but just playing around with it. I was working it more like a fluke that time, just short snaps, just trying to get as good of an understanding as I can with respect to this bait. I mean, that one I was literally just popping it like that and that fish came and ate it. A lot of different cool, I keep saying it, but just different ways to retrieve it, and so far I haven't seen a wrong way to do it. The other thing I'll say that I'm surprised about is I've only had that one pull off, and I don't know that I've had another fish grab any other bait than the one with the hooks, which, I mean, I think that makes some sense having that bait with the weight down below, but it's still one of those things where you would think that there'd just be a lot of fish that would be grabbing the wrong one. And in this case, can't say I've had that. I also will add though that I think I've only felt one or two of the bites. You know, anytime you're working a bait with a lot of little pops like that, you have very little feel of your bait, so you don't really know what it's doing. And so I'm not really feeling. I've seen several of the bites because I can see my bait in some of these instances right under the surface, and I'll see like two of the baits just go off to the side. So even though I didn't feel the bite, I saw the fish grab one of the baits, and I saw the other baits almost look like a bobber where they just kind of went under and disappeared. He hit it almost instantly. Not a giant, but man, this has been a fun day. I gotta say, I feel pretty confident in this bait. Ooh, sorry, little guy. When it first came out, or when I first saw it, I kind of thought to myself, it looks a little gimmicky. But now after using it, I'm all geared up to give this a try for next year, because it generates some bites. I mean, it's There's applications for this in a whole lot of different places for a lot of different species, and to me that's got me excited. I think there's definitely some tournaments, if I'm allowed to use it, that I think could be really good. So hopefully I've been able to share some of my experience with how I've had success with it, and you guys will be able to take it and catch some fish yourself by doing the same thing. I'd like to hear from you guys too, though. If you've used it, let me know in the comment section some of the different ways that you like to fish with it, because I mean, like I said, this is the first time I've been out with it. I have not fished long with it, and it's been really productive, but I feel like there's going to be a whole bunch of different ways to fish it, different baits, different techniques, and I'm curious to hear what you guys have to say about it as well. But this really exceeded my expectations. I got to tell you, I didn't expect to see it and think to myself, holy cow, I can fish this in so many different ways, and that's exactly what it's done. So I've really enjoyed it so far. Anyways, if you liked today's video, hit the like button. If you haven't subscribed yet, you should hit that subscriber button, and stay tuned. We'll have a new video coming out tomorrow for you.